And that is why the 2021 M1 iPad Pro is such a fantastic professional device. Wow, such a beauty.
Can 3D graphics professionals run Unity on it?
No.
Can music professionals run Logic Pro X?
No.
Can you do professional editing on the Final Cut Pro?
No.
Can software developers use Xcode?
No.
Then why on earth is it called a Pro device?
Oops.
You just got cooked.
Hey folks, and welcome to another video of mine. In this video, we're going to be talking about WWDC 2021. I know we were all expecting a lot of great things for the iPad especially. And spoiler alert, we were all disappointed. So that's what this video is going to be about. The iPad Pro. The M1 iPad Pro, I should specify rather. And here are 3 reasons as to why I am not going to be upgrading to the M1 2021 iPad Pro. Let's begin, folks. Okay, reason number 1. No professional apps and the iPad OS itself. So I've made notes and I'm just going to make sure I keep checking on them because I want to make sure that I get everything across to you good folks so that you can make an informed decision whether you should or should not upgrade to the M1 iPad Pro 2021. Let's start with the first reason. Like I said, no professional apps and the operating system itself. Now, the biggest reason you would want to buy an iPad or an iPad Pro is because it's calling itself a professional device. And if one calls itself a professional device, that means that it should be able to run professional apps on it. Now, although it's called an iPad Pro, you can't really run professional apps like Logic, the Final Cut Pro, or even the Xcode. Now, here's the thing though, all right? You can run your iPad apps or your iPhone apps on your Mac OS. So that means if you've got a Mac Mini, MacBook Air, or a MacBook Pro, then, and the M1 versions that is, then you can comfortably run your iPad and your iPhone apps on these devices. However, it can't be done the other way around, meaning your iPad Pro cannot run any Mac OS applications. Bummer, isn't it? And with this feature, with this new feature, if you've seen or if you tuned into WWDC 2021 and if you saw the entire iPad section, then they even announced something called a universal control. I highly recommend that you check out WWDC 2021 and the keynote event if you haven't already done so. But with the universal control, what it basically does is it's kind of making an announcement that macOS, well, it ain't coming to your iPad anytime soon, because with the universal control, one thing's for sure, that Apple wants you to keep using its various devices like the iPad, the MacBook Air or Pro, and then the iMac, so that you can transfer your work from one device to the other. But what this does for the iPad is, if you have taken a look at the universal control presentation, it kind of makes the iPad look like a glorified accessory rather than a computer that Apple advertises it to be. So that's my problem with the universal control. Now, you're going to start working on something on the iPad, which ultimately, like they presented, they would want you to finish on your iMac or on the MacBook Pro. What does that make the iPad to be? A glorified accessory. Exactly that. So I'm not buying my iPad Pro just so that I can draw cool things or take some fun notes on my iPad, is it? It's an expensive device. So this is basically my reason number 1, which is not professional apps that I'm getting on my iPad, and plus the operating system itself is not geared towards professionals. Reason number 2 is the pricing, since I've already mentioned that it's an expensive device. Now, here in India, all right, Apple devices are generally more expensive because of the export duties that are put on these devices. So here in India, and I want to make sure I get the exact prices, The 1 TB version of the 12.9-inch M1 iPad Pro costs over 2,05,700 rupees, Indian rupees. If I convert this to dollars, it amounts to $2,800 US approximately. Now this includes, of course, the Magic Keyboard. It also includes the Apple Pencil. Now, in case you're wondering, why am I including these devices? Because not everybody would buy these devices or these accessories. Well, for one, Apple advertises the iPad as a computer. And for you to truly actually kind of work on it as a computer, you do have to get yourself a keyboard, you do have to get yourself a trackpad or a mouse. And the Magic Keyboard does exactly that. And of course, the cool element with the iPad Pro is the way you can actually take notes, paint on it, draw on it, do some cool things with the Apple Pencil. So that's why I have included these accessories, and that's why the price of 2,05,700 or 2,800 US dollars. You're not making a mistake, it's 2,800 US dollars. That is an expensive device. Now, a 13-inch MacBook Pro, not the Air, just clarifying here, it's the MacBook Pro with the M1 chip, that is, and with 16 gigabytes of RAM with the 1 TB of storage, because we want to make a fair comparison. Well, that costs around 1,82,900 Indian rupees, which amounts to around 2,500 US dollars. This is cheaper than the 1 TB version of the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Yes, the MacBook Pro is actually cheaper than the iPad Pro when you take into consideration, you include the Magic Keyboard and the Apple Pencil. Now, why on earth would one even buy an iPad when they can enjoy the goodness of both iPad apps and your MacBook apps on something like a Mac Mini or a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro? And yes, you can run all the professional apps, again, professional apps on your Mac devices, Air, Mini and Pro. Heck, you can even run them on the Air, which is a much competitively priced device. Now, I'm just gonna share the prices here in India. The 16 gigabyte version with the 1 TB of storage comes at just 1,57,900 Indian rupees, which is just 2,150 US dollars, which in my opinion is the best value for money device out of all the devices that I've spoke of. And it would clearly be my pick if I had to choose a computer. I'm emphasizing on the word here, computer, that I can travel or move around with. So the iPad Pro is way too expensive, and without a proper desktop architecture operating system, it just doesn't really deserve that much, you know? So it's not worth the money at the moment. Speaking of at the moment, that brings me to the third point. Now, the third point as to why I'm not upgrading is wasted potential and a future possibility. Now, please note that you are buying these devices today so you can take advantage of all the features, the software, the hardware, the features included. You can take advantage of it today, not tomorrow, today. Yeah. Now, we're not talking about a near or a distant future. Again, today. Now, did you know that even if you do buy a 16 gigabyte version of the M1 iPad Pro, the operating system is designed in such a way that it can only use 5 GB of RAM at the moment. So even if you buy the 16 gigabytes version, you can only use 5 gigabytes, or rather the iPad can only utilize 5 gigabytes worth of RAM. That is just insane, because you are paying 100% for the device, and this means that Apple is only allowing 31% of that RAM that you have paid for to be used. Now, if this is not daylight robbery, I don't know what is. It is absolutely insane. Now, like I said at the start of this particular section, I'm not buying a device that can be used after 1 year, and I'm not investing today for something, you know, that's going to be used after 1 year. And please know that Apple does launch its devices every year. At least, you know, that's been the trend so far. You've got an iPad almost every year, you've got an iPhone almost every year. So every year there's a new device which comes up. So there is no point, or it rather does not make sense for you to upgrade to the M1 iPad Pro, because it just cannot take advantage of the hardware that is available because of the limitations that have been put by Apple on the operating system, which is the iPad OS, right? So it is just not going to be making any sense for me to upgrade from my 2018 iPad Pro. By the way, disclaimer, it was not the 2021 iPad that I was actually flashing at the start of the video. It was my 2018 iPad Pro, and I am not upgrading, and these were the 3 reasons why. When the iPad was first launched, it was truly a revolutionary device. Yes, it was a tablet, but it aspired to be so much more. In fact, it gave us hope of a future where we could all run professional applications on a device which was so thin, slim, and may I say, beautiful. Well, the iPad OS 14 was definitely a step in the right direction, and with Tim Cook letting the world know that now the iPad is going to come with the M1 chip, well, we were all hoping for the Mac OS to actually come to the iPad Pro. Well, we know that that's not going to happen anymore, at least not for the near future. And we were still hoping that they would at least introduce some professional applications like Final Cut or Logic on the iPad Pro, but even that is not happening. So we know now for sure that at least for a couple of years, you could say the iPad is not going to do something significantly great. And with the universal control, which was announced, it makes, in fact, the iPad look more like an accessory, like I said earlier. Now, I'm just going to quote the lines from a very popular pop song, in fact, a very profound and a serious one at that, by Britney Spears. The song is, "I'm not a girl, not yet a woman." Basically, something in between. That's what the iPad Pro feels like right now. It's not a tablet, not yet a computer. It's something in between. And for that something in between, I'm not willing to spend over 2,800 US dollars or over 2 lakh Indian rupees to buy something in between. The something in between does not allow you to run professional apps. The something in between is very pricey, and the something in between does not utilize the full potential of the hardware and, may I say, the software as well. So no, I am not upgrading to the 2021 M1 iPad Pro, and these were my reasons why. Do let me know in the comments, as to what you feel about the new M1 iPad Pro. And feel free to reach out to me. I generally respond to all my comments in a matter of hours, even minutes. If I'm on my mobile phone, I can respond back in a matter of minutes. But what I do look forward to is your comments after I post every single video, so please keep them coming. And if you have already seen my videos, this is the part where I say, please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so. It makes a huge difference, and it helps with the YouTube algorithm. And also hit that bell icon in case you want to get notified with all my latest videos. Now, that's a wrap for this one. This is me signing off. Until we meet again in the next one, folks, take care, stay safe, and may God bless you all.